BTB listeners, thank you so much for checking out today's episode. Listen, if this episode inspires you, do me a favor and take 5 seconds to shoot me a like and subscribe to the podcast. There are several more exciting guests that are in the pipeline, and I just can't thank you enough for your continued support, and let's keep paying the mission forward. Welcome to the BTB Project, designed to empower listeners to identify their why and to live their best lives no matter the circumstances. My name is Kollman Gearhart, a former athlete and motivational coach. I've had the opportunity to inspire thousands through my story and help accomplish what they are built to be. You'll be encouraged by each and every episode, and let's get into it. Today's BTB short, I want to uncover a common topic that I come across, and it's around overcoming the odds. There have been several times in my life where people ask me how I get through particular situations. And one of those situations that comes to mind that was by far one of the biggest challenges in my life was my education. I tell my kids all the time that, as a little bit of a pun, that I'm not the brightest crayon in the box. I definitely have been built with more of a creative mindset, obviously good at public speaking, coach voice, things like that. But when it comes to being book smart, I've always struggled with that. Now, I had some things that didn't help with those academic endeavors, things like dyslexia, being able to not focus, borderline ADHD, not a very good reader. I had a really bad stigmatism in my left eye. It causes my eye to twitch when I'm focusing on something too long. So I have had all of these things stack. And it led to this point in high school where I had to go and take the ACT my junior year. I got the test back and I got a 16 on the ACT. Now, the best score you can get on an ACT, I believe, is a 36. A 16, way below national average. The problem with that was I really wanted to play tennis in college, and I didn't have the ACT score. At that point, I'd failed math 3 times. I had to take it a 4th time at a community college to graduate from high school. But I had to have a better ACT score and better grades to be eligible per the NCAA to play tennis. So as all of these things stack, it got to a point where I was driven pretty far into the ground with self-doubt, with seeing this big mountain in front of my face, not knowing how to climb it, not knowing how to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish academically to go play college tennis. But the big thing that I want you guys to understand is, with any difficult circumstance in your life, I treat it as a kind of option A and option B. You really have 2 options. You either can choose to be optimistic, or you can choose to believe that the odds are always going to be against you. Nothing in the middle, either optimism or the odds are against you. So with that said, you have to be able to understand optimism. What is it? And it's not as clear and concise as you think, but to try to narrow it down to something that is simple is that it's a positive mindset, a positive mental attitude towards the future, just being positive. Now, in that moment academically, was there anything that I could possibly do to feel positive in that moment? Well, I had to start creating some situations in order for me to feel positive. For instance, when I got that ACT test back and I got a 16 on it, I then had to go back and look at my GPA and say, okay, what ACT score do I need to get in order to accomplish my goal of being eligible to play college tennis? Well, that magic number was a 25. So I had to get 9 points higher than my initial test. And so the positive optimism that I started instilling in my mind is I at least get an opportunity to take another test. Well, I take the test a second time a few months later, and I got a 22. Now you say to yourself, well, you got an increase of 6 points, but it still wasn't the goal. So here I am fighting this. Am I putting things into my optimism hand, or am I putting things into I'm never going to be able to overcome the odds hand? And as I'm walking through this, how important it is to find optimism in your life, no matter what you're facing. And that power of choice is cultivated by optimism. There's a great quote out there, Theodore Roosevelt: believe you can and you're halfway there. I find that to be so powerful and simple and beautiful because that's the truth. Most of the times when we're in these tough situations in life and you're trying to overcome the odds, your mind is in the trash can, filled with negativity and self doubt. You don't want to believe that things are going to change because you've manifested all of the negativity and the weight of the situation. You've manifested it in your mind to where it's literally paralyzed you from taking action and to be positive. And when it comes to just the truth of life, is there are beautiful opportunities and there are moments where I'm going to call it the enemy. The enemy just has you by a stranglehold and you're holding on for dear life. What are some ways that we can instill a positive mindset, choose to be in that mindset, and have it be fueled by optimism? You have to be able to, in some cases, fake it till you make it. How can you be overly optimistic when the odds are against you? I began many times in that educational journey that I went on to say optimistic things to myself on a daily basis, looking myself in the mirror every morning, giving myself praise and positive affirmations. For instance, on that ACT test, even increasing it by 6 points. Kollman, good job, man. You're at a 22. You were at a 16 a few months ago, and you're getting closer to a 25 than you are a 16. That's a good day. Did I have the instant gratification of getting a 25 the first time I retook the test? Absolutely not. But what do you do with that? You continue to train, educate with that positive mindset. So now I've made the choice of optimism. I've reinforced it by doing things that are going to lead towards my goal of getting a 25 on the ACT. And that strategy of training myself to understand the content to be better on that test led me to having an overwhelming positive nature in my mind to where the odds became less than the positive belief, the optimism. It is a battle that goes on in our mind on a daily basis. And being able to outweigh the odds with optimism is the true ticket for you to overcome anything in your life. And that is where, when you have this balancing act of positive and negative going on in your mind, what if it falls into the opposite end of the spectrum, to where maybe you're having a few good days of being optimistic, overcoming the odds, and then the odds just punch you right in the face. How do you deal with those negative moments, those truly negative, dark moments? And you have to be able to find a way to accept the negative thoughts. When I got a 16 on the ACT, I accepted and I took ownership of that score. I didn't study well for that test. I wasn't focused when I took the test. Honestly, there was a few times when I took that test where I just was bubbling. I just was filling in bubbles because I didn't correlate in that moment how important it was for me to do well on that test. I didn't care. I didn't have motivation. The negativity that I felt afterwards, all of it was self-inflicted. So if you're making decisions that create outcomes that are congruent to the decision making you made prior to the outcome, why would you be frustrated? At what point are you going to start taking some accountability in your life? Sometimes the odds get stacked against us because we're stacking it before it happens, way before it happens, with our thoughts, with our decisions. That's why I'm telling you all the time, impossible is nothing, because it's a mindset. When you have a mindset of optimism and you have a strategy in place to accomplish something that you want to do, and you actually go and put in the work on a daily basis, continuing to feed that optimism hand rather than the negativity hand. If you want to overcome odds in your life, you have to be honest with yourself. And that's one of the biggest challenges that I've had to face. No one wants to be reminded that you're not good enough. No one wants to think about all of the shortcomings and failures and disappointment that you've created in your life. But some of the most powerful moments I've seen to where I'm overcoming the odds, it's because I become honest with myself. And going back to that test, being able to go from a 16 to a 22 to a 26 eventually on the test, then it happened because I hoped for it. I set a goal, I knew what I wanted, and I went after it. And despite any sort of shortcoming that I've had to that point, I put it to rest with optimism. I put it to rest with mindset. I put it to rest with strategy. And nobody was going to take that away from me. Helen Keller has a tremendous quote: optimism is the faith that leads achievement. Where are you putting your faith? What are you putting your faith into? It takes energy and effort to put your faith in something. Why not put it into optimism? Why not put it into being able to know that truly impossible is nothing? The only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today. Franklin D. Roosevelt. Our limitation is always self-inflicted, but our optimism is also self-inflicted. So when it comes to overcoming the odds, I dare you. I repeat, I dare you to believe in yourself and to remind yourself that you are incredible, that you are extraordinary, that you can do anything you want to in this life, putting yourself in the right parameters, setting the right expectations, putting a support system around you. and crushing the odds. Listen, if this BTB short was something that helped you out or inspired you, if optimism is something that you're either crushing right now or you need a little bit more fuel for the fire, do me a favor, like and subscribe to the BTB project. Better yet, share this BTB short with a family member, friend, or colleague and tell them why this episode inspired you. Let them know how you like to be encouraged. Let them know how you want to encourage them. It's community through the BTB project that truly allows us to crush odds on a daily basis. So go out, make it happen. I'm proud of each and every one of you. And until next time, take care.